The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Fixated Podcast. I am your host, coming to you live from Akron, Ohio, Mike Eslina, and I'm joined by my buddy Regz, who I will see in just a few days. Regsy Boo, good to see you, bud.
A rare non-hat episode for our host.
No, it's going to change in like 2 seconds because I realized that I didn't put a hat on. So after we do this intro, and
I feel like you should like have some episodes like this. That way people could go back, and if they're ever like watching them, in order, it'd be funny to like go back and count the number of hatless episodes. I don't think there's many.
I don't think there are.
It'd be a rare treat.
I actually think this might be the first hatless episode.
There's got to be one more.
I don't think there is, man.
There might not be. It's a fair point.
I typically wear a hat all the time.
All right, so now you have to keep it off. This is just going to be what it is now.
All right. Well, it's the first hatless episode here of the Fixated. It took over 200 episodes to get me without a hat.
Right.
But here we are. We did it.
215 to be exact.
215 episodes without a hat. First listener to text me or comment on this that something about me not wearing a hat, making fun of me for something, whatever, however you get in touch with me, drinks on me. I'll buy so you get whoever gets it first, and I'll shout you out on the next episode. This is also the first episode where I'm drinking a coffee live on.
That's very true also.
Rex, before we jump in, I have a serious like life question for you.
All right.
As you've gotten older, we're in our mid to late 30s now, right?
It's like late 30s, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're approaching the 40-year mark.
Yep.
Have you started to like just forget shit all the time? Like not forget things that things that you've experienced or watched. I feel like my memory in that way is pretty good, but like leave things behind. Has that become part of your life?
It is with some things. Yeah. But it's certain things, right? Like I'm more keyed up on where every baseball glove is in this house than I probably am my own like car keys.
Right. Okay.
It's stuff. But I'm a habitual like pocket checker. You know what I mean? Like before I leave the house, I swear I'm patting myself down like I'm in the TSA like 15 times. But from my counter to the garage, like the door to the garage, it's like 15 times in the span of like a 12-foot area.
Okay. That's fair. Because so when I leave the house, I'm also a pocket checker. I check for wallet, I check for inhaler, and I check for cell phone. When I'm on the road, I often forget that there are two more things I need to check for. Hotel key and car key.
Yep.
Because typically when I'm leaving the house, my car key is already in the car because I keep it in the garage, so I'm not worried about it. But when I'm on the road, like I have to check for this.
Yeah.
And so this trip specifically, I've been here since Monday. So this is day 4. At least once a day, I have left both of I keep 2 hotel keys for this purpose.
Yeah.
I've left both hotel keys and or my car keys in my room. So I have had to ask at the front desk multiple times for a new key. I have multiple keys laying around this hotel room right now. And tonight I walked back in after I walked out to go get my dinner. I just went and got Subway, but I walked out 2 seconds later, turned back around, and the lady at the front desk who now knows me after 4 months of me coming, she's like, "Did you leave your car keys upstairs again?" I said, "Absolutely did. Absolutely did." People are now knowing it about me. The girl who I work with here in Akron, Sierra, bless her heart, she's unbelievable at her job, but better at keeping me in line. I leave my Gatorades everywhere. I leave my journal everywhere, my pens everywhere. Like we'll go into a classroom and she'll be like, "You just give me all that. I'll hold on to it till we leave." This is where I'm at, Regs. I'm really concerned about like leaving. I leave stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what
This
to do about it.
this seems like a painful first step in like starting to leave like your wallet at home all the time.
It's very upsetting, Regs. Listen,
Is
if
it?
anybody,
But if it's only on the road,
yeah, I'm better at home.
yeah,
I'm better at home. I am. And
yeah. I mean,
part of
look,
it's
so
Andrea too.
sure, absolutely. Angela obviously keeps me in check in many more ways than one. Yeah. See, I think it's less concerning that it's only on the road. I think it's less concerning.
I appreciate your, vote
See,
of confidence.
if you had told me that you like forgot your hat bag, then we might have something to talk about.
Over there.
I know you didn't, but I just mean like if that's what you had started forgetting, then maybe like you and I need to have a deeper discussion, not while we're recording each other.
How many people do you think have a hat bag? Did you get one?
Oh yeah, we have 3.
You got them after
we have one for
was that
each
after I
kid.
came to visit?
Yes.
After I came to visit? Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. So listeners, I love that we're having this conversation. What a fun conversation. So I travel with hats everywhere I go. I travel with two things I have to have. I have to have a pair of sneakers to match every outfit. Don't make fun of me. Don't judge. You don't get to judge. Second thing is I travel with hats. And I don't like my hats getting creased. I don't like them flattening out. So Andrea for Christmas 2 years ago got me like this solid hat.
You got to go get it now. If it's sitting right there, you got to go get it.
All right. Oh, give me.
Yeah, you're fine. Go ahead. Anyway, for those listening, Azzy is going to get his hat bag. It's as you would imagine a hat carrying device to be. We're now going to show it on the YouTube channel. And look, if this isn't a reason to make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, I'm not sure what else I can give you, to be quite honest.
And it is like,
yeah,
it's solid. So when you open it, then like when you unzip it, and if you're not watching, you just go to YouTube and watch like the first 20 minutes and subscribe while you're there. Your hats just sit so nicely inside. So like none of my hats get banged up in luggage, right? Like they stay nice and fresh in my luggage, and nothing happens to them. So I take this with me it's not heavy. When I traveled to visit Regz and his family last year for the draft, I just had it attached to my like duffel bag. It was just like tied to my duffel bag from a hook. So honestly, I don't know where my wife got it, but we now have
at least 2 of them.
There's free advertising for them.
We have at least 2 of them now.
Yeah. So the hat bag. So now we've talked about my forgetfulness and my hat bag. Anything else that we need to touch on here before we talk about sports? Or
no, like I said, if you start forgetting that, just give me a call and we'll figure out what we need to do from there. I'm not concerned about the hotel keys.
All right. I got to figure out what hat I'm wearing to the tournament on.
There you go.
On Sunday that we better win. Regz, myself, Banksy, and now we're repeating with our original partner. My brother-in-law is going to play with us. And 3 years ago, we won the tournament with the 3 of us. And then 2 years ago, we didn't play in it because I had surgery. And then last year, Crawford didn't play in it because he had surgery, but we brought someone else along and we won it. So we have technically two-peated because like we didn't play
correct
in the 1 year. So we're going for a 3-peat this year. I feel like we can. I know last year it took what were we, like 15 under last year?
Yeah.
I don't know that we're quite I don't know that we have quite that group this year because Adam is like, just barely a step below Banks.
Yeah. We left a few out there even.
Yeah. I played really well a couple of weeks back and like to the point where like my approach shots were a lot better than what they have been. Adam was working with me a lot, and my brother-in-law he'll get you a good shot every now and then. So I think between the 4 of us, I'm hoping for like a round of like 12, 13 under. It probably won't win it because this tournament has grown so much.
Yeah.
But if we're competitive, I think that's more than enough. Although I don't think Banksy's going to be happy with just being competitive.
No, I think that's the key, is that he wants to win this thing. So if he's if he's driving the ball well, that's what we need. If
he did last year, he hit the ball well.
He did.
He did.
So we just need him to drive the ball well.
The putting came from Adam. Adam was our best. I made a bunch of really big putts, but Adam was our most consistent putter.
Yeah. I'm a 0 off the tee right now and have been for 3 years as I still try and get over the driver yips. But I've been hitting my irons decently, and putting's always fun. So like, look, we'll contribute. But if Banksy is giving us some bombs, we got a shot at this thing.
Which he tends to do.
Yes, he does.
So he's pretty good off of that tee box.
Yeah. And he like you said, he gets overly competitive about this stuff. So that helps him lock in. Yeah.
I think he just really likes to win it for me. Like, I think he thinks it's like, you know, and I mean, I love winning it, but at some point we're gonna get knocked off of our
that's all right.
Knocked off our horse. But for now, it's nice to be 2-time champs, and hopefully we get to 3-time champs. It'd be nice if the basketball team in Philadelphia could be a 1-time champ. So we'll start there.
Wouldn't that be a thing?
This week the draft lottery occurred. It occurred on Monday. I was listening to it on my way from the airport to the hotel and got so excited when the Sixers jumped back in to the top 4. Initially, we thought they were going to lose their pick. Then something happened and they slid back in. When they weren't picked at 4, I was like, holy crap, the other 2 teams that are with them, like, this is happening.
Yeah.
and then they were 3, and I was like, how does that happen with the other 2 teams that are there? And sure enough, the freaking Mavericks, listen, I want to go back to the days where they did it right in front of you, like where the balls were pulled right there on TV. I want to go back to that.
I mean, Zach Lowe from The Ringer, now The Ringer, formerly of ESPN and various other places, goes and like watches the ping pong balls, and he had a whole podcast with Simmons about the whole thing. And like, look, I know it's not rigged, I know all this stuff, but like, I tend to believe in karma, and this makes me question like my view of the universe. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like this makes me question my view of the universe. Like, never has stupidity been rewarded so greatly.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any cosmic, karmic sense. And I'm struggling, like, finding a worldly reason why this would happen.
I don't understand it either. And certainly I don't want to spend a ton of time here.
Yeah.
But if you're not sure what we're talking about, the Dallas Mavericks, who traded Luka Doncic, and
for
had
2 players.
For 2 players, and had a 1.8% chance of getting the number 1 overall pick, ended up getting the number 1 overall pick. So we're just a little bitter. However, getting the 3rd pick in this draft is actually not bad.
From a Sixers standpoint, this is one of the all-time best scenarios. Like, to be in the top 3 is an unbelievable outcome.
And I know that, you know, people are really, you know, kind of going back and forth with like Harper and Bailey, and I think Harper's going too. So it really comes down to whether or not they like Ace Bailey enough to take him.
Mm-hmm.
He's, I think, the bar none 3rd best prospect in this draft. I don't know what that means in the NBA, like, because Markelle Fultz was technically the 3rd.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And look what happened there. So Jahlil Okafor was another one, right? So you've got to look at the, you know, we're going to talk about all the different scenarios as we move forward. I think the overarching message we wanted to send tonight was this is best case scenario. Aside from 1, being in the top 3 in this draft is you have so many options. You could trade the pick for a player that's out there right now. You could trade back and gain assets and still get a pretty good player at 6 to 8. You could stay there and just take Bailey and build around Maxi Bailey and McCain with Grimes there too. They have plenty of options, Regs, and I think that's ultimately all we hoped for because the alternative was they don't get the pick.
Yeah. Well, yeah. As soon as they were going to get any pick that's, from 6 on, you're like, okay, everything's fine. Like, we're good. We didn't lose the pick. Getting to 3 was unreal. And what I'll say about Bailey is I think the reason I'm perfectly fine with them taking him is because of like size, height, weight, athleticism. And they're not going for one of the extremes. Like Markel Fultz, like say what you will about Fultz or even Maxi, like for those guys at that size to be really good, it's really hard. Oh, like Okafor, Joel Embiid to an extent, right? Guys that big don't tend to play for very long because they just get hurt, right? That's another extreme. Taking 6'9" to 6'10" wings with 7-foot wingspans tends to do pretty well in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
Like you might not be a world beater, but you should have a pretty decent career. Like Tobias Harris is still a player in the NBA. I know that scares Sixers fans, and I don't think that's what Ace Bailey is, but I mean like that height, weight, length profile plays in the NBA. And you constantly need guys with that athleticism and that size, like to play nowadays. That's just what you need. So I think from a body profile standpoint, I think it's right where you want to be picking guys.
I think there's a plethora of those types here that they can look at if they move down. I a little bias here, but I think Concanepple fits that mold really well. I thought he consistency wise exceeded every player on Duke from the start of the year to the end of the year. I mean, I love Cooper Flagg, and I think he's going to be an incredible NBA ball player. But when Flagg was trying to figure it out at the early onset of the season, Concanepple had already figured it out, and he never really stopped playing to the level at which he set the bar at any point during the regular season. He was great in the ACC tournament. He was great in the NCAA tournament too, and he can score at every level. He can defend at pretty much 1 through 4. So runs the pick and roll really well, which I know is something that they like to do with Joe. Look, that's a little bit of a bias, and I watched a lot of him. I've not watched a lot of Ace Bailey. I'm gonna have to watch, guys like him and the kid from is it Oregon, the other kid, or Baylor? Sorry, the kid from Baylor.
Yeah.
Gonna have to watch him too. I watched him against Duke, but he didn't really play well in that game. So they really locked him down. But they locked down a lot of guys this year because of how good they were defensively. So we'll dig into that more as we approach the draft in June. But for now, the celebration is the third overall.
Yeah.
And I think what we'll probably do is I'll mark out a date and when I see the draft, and maybe we'll cover 1 or 2 players from here till then, and just highlight why they would be a fit with the 6 or 7 plays. But for now, we're going to go a little bit out of order tonight, Rags. We started with the Sixers, which when we talk about them, we typically do. We try and get them out of the way, unless there's a reason to stick around a little longer. But there's really not tonight, and there's really not a lot to stick around with on the Phillies. We've only had 3 games since we last recorded. It was only the Phillies' 3rd series loss or 4th series loss of the year, which I know people are like, "How's that even possible?" Because it hasn't felt like a great season, at least to the standard of this group. But it's like their 4th series loss, and 2 of them have been to the Cardinals now. It just feels like the Cardinals might be this team's bugaboo. They pitch them really well. Outside of last night's second game of the doubleheader, the Phillies haven't really hit any Cardinal pitching. In St. Louis, I think their highest run output was 4, and they had only scored 4 runs in the first 2 games of this series.
Yeah.
So they hadn't scored a lot. A couple things I want to speak on tonight is just two things, and if there's something else you want to add to it, it's Aaron Nola in the offense. I will start by saying the only thing that has me even slightly concerned coming out of this series is that they've lost the season series to a team that could end up a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
I texted you that after their loss on Tuesday night, and my message to you is basically like, I'm not really worried outside of, if they don't win the next two, they lose a series, a season series. And those are always big. I follow those from the start of the year. That being said, I don't know that this Cardinal team is going to continue on the track that they're on. I think that if they get a couple of injuries, they are screwed. They do not have good depth outside of the guys that are on the field for them. So, it's a long season, and if the Central comes out with two teams, I will be shocked. So they're gonna. I think for me, they have to win that division.
Yeah.
But I don't see them doing that. So uh outside of simply that, nothing that I'm super concerned about from a team wide perspective. But let's talk about something that I think we're both, I mean, at least moderately bothered by, and that's Aaron Nola. And why don't I let you start on where you're at there, and then I'll jump in after that.
I mean, which direction do I go? Um, it's difficult to be in a spot with a guy you generally like and want to do well and has done well. Like, look, he's been a very good pitcher, has pitched a ton of innings, all those things. And it's weird to be where we are and be contemplating, like, we knew that contract wasn't going to be all good, right? Eventually pitchers just kind of lose it. It happens. I don't think we expected it to be now, because we thought the pressure's kind of off Aaron. Especially now it's proven out with how Sanchez was pitching, right, last year into this year, with how Luzardo has been pitching this year. Aaron's essentially the number 4. And that's really only, I mean, it's really only because Ranger hasn't pitched that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so when you put it that way, you're like, okay, dude, you just got to go out and eat innings and not be god awful. And he's been awful. Like, it's been the worst case scenario from that standpoint. And I know everyone says, right, baseball always evens out. It's like your thing about you win this many, you lose this many. It's what you do about the rest of them. So I guess I really have to hope that we're just getting this out of the way. I'm kind of tired of like the cold excuse. Like, dude, you've been in Philadelphia your whole career, and
It wasn't even that cold yesterday.
But that's what I mean. And you signed here. You could have gone somewhere warm. You decided not to. I don't want to hear the whole like, oh, it's cold out, Aaron can't pitch. I don't know why when it's bad, it's so bad. It's always just like homers and like just the inability to get a swing and miss.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you don't have anything, bud? Like nothing? You don't got nothing for me to try and get out of this. And then it's the whole, oh, well, the pitch clock. He doesn't like being rushed. Like, I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear it anymore. You're here to do a certain job. You don't even have the pressure of having to be this team's number 2 or even third best starter. You don't have that pressure. So I don't want to hear it anymore. Your job is to go out there and like get through 6 innings and not just be terrible. It doesn't seem like that. Again, I know it's very hard to pitch in the major leagues. I'm not saying it's not hard. This team paid you a lot of money, and you're still the number 4 starter. You're not being paid like one, but you are. We need you to like get it together, dude. It can't be 9 runs and 12 hits over 4 innings. Like, your team spotted you a 4-run lead. You can't blow it. that was a game they should have cruised to a win. And I'm not saying it had to be like 10-2, but like it's even 7-3, right? Whatever is what it is. You used all your big bullpen guns in the first inning because you had to get that win to get the momentum going in the second one. I get why Topper did it. So knowing that, like, Jesus Christ, Aaron, they spotted you 4 runs, man. You can't come out in the very next inning and just shit your pants. You can't do it. You can't do it.
Now, I will credit him that he did have a shutdown inning in the second. It was the third that he imploded.
Did I miss one? All right, that's fair.
They scored 5, I believe, in the first.
Yes.
And then he shut down the second, and then just absolutely imploded in the third.
Makes it somewhat worse.
Schwarber tied it in the bottom half, and they brought him back out. So I'm gonna go a couple of different ways here. The first being that I don't get frustrated. I don't get annoyed. I'm a very even keeled baseball watcher, but I was super annoyed last night, and most of it was with Aaron because he doesn't get a lot of run support, and finally they give him run support, and he just shits the bed. The other thing that really frustrated me was, after they tie the game and it's 6-6, to me, if I'm the manager of that team, I treat this game as 0-0, and I go to my bullpen. Clearly, Knowles doesn't have it. You have 2 guys in that pen that can get you 3 innings at a pop. You've got 2 guys, and you got the extra guy out there. I don't understand why we did not approach the rest of the game with Taijuan Walker and Joe Ross. Like, it to me, that was manager malfeasance. Like, that's just bad managing. And the second he brought Aaron back out there, in my mind, I knew that he was going to give up another run. Like, he had to face the top of the order again. So, like, we don't get Lars Nootbaar out. That guy's hitting 250 this year, but he's hitting 9,000 against the Phillies. And Mason Wynn is a really good baseball player. Like, he hits everybody, and so he finally comes back and he torches the Phillies this week. But I was angry at both parties. I was angry at Aaron for blowing it, but I was also angry that Topper put him in the position to come back out there and blow it a second time. To answer your question though, like the question about I don't understand, what causes these implosions. Aaron just doesn't have like the stuff to get by when he's not locating.
Yeah.
Like we watch Zach Wheeler and Chris Sanchez, go games at a time or a game or innings at a time where they're not locating, but the stuff is, and same with Luzardo. The stuff is still good enough to dominate a game or get through 6 innings and only give up, 2 runs, even though they don't have their best stuff, because they can reach back and get 98, right? Like, any of them can reach back at any time and get 98. And Aaron can't. So if Aaron's throwing that fastball and leaving it over the middle of the plate, or throwing changeups and leaving them over the middle of the plate, he's gonna get crushed. I mean, it was the worst start of his career last night, and that's not hyperbole. That is just fact. It's statistical fact. It was the worst start of his major league career. Aaron Nola leads baseball in innings pitched over the last 5 seasons. Aaron Nola is a guy who has taken the ball every 5th day. That's part of the value of his contract. At the end of the year, Aaron Nola's probably going to lead the team in innings. It's because he's going to pitch all the time. One of 2 things in my mind has to happen. The first being a phantom IL stint when Andrew Painter is ready. That should be part of the process. And or Aaron Nola needs to pitch on longer rest if they go to a 6-man rotation. They can absolutely make sure that Wheeler stays on his regular rest. But Nola should, get time off here and there, skip a start every other week or something like that to just keep him fresh, because he has pitched well on longer rest over the course of his career, not consistently, but at different points of his career. And it feels like we're reaching a point where he might have to do that. One more point, and then I'll see if there's anything else you want to wrap with. you mentioned, he's number 4, and I in jest and half jest said he might actually be the 5. He might even be the 6. But if we were playing a playoff series tomorrow, Aaron Nola would not be starting a game for me. It truly would be Wheeler and the 3 lefties. Like, I would trust Big Game Ranger over Aaron Nola right now. I certainly trust. It goes without mentioning Zach Wheeler, but I trust the other 2.
Yeah.
And there's a possibility that come September we're sitting here saying I trust Andrew Painter to start a playoff game over Aaron Nola. And to be honest with you, Taijuan Walker's pitched better than Aaron Nola this year. That's not exaggeration. That's not overreaction. We have a large enough sample size at this point to say that Taijuan Walker has been better. He wasn't great last night, but is it really fair to like get on Taijuan Walker? Like the game was the game at that point.
Yeah.
So, anything else that you want to add to Aaron here?
I just look, I don't, people know we're not wishing that this is like we're witnessing the death of Aaron Nola, the pitcher here, but like you can't keep rolling this dude out there if this is going to be the result. Like the team did exactly what they needed to do in the bottom of that first inning to take control of this game. And you just I just don't care. I don't care if you don't have you got to figure out how to not blow the lead there. You just got to. But hope, like you said, maybe they figure out a way to give him more rest and he finds it. But
yeah,
until then, it's tough.
The problem is that what you're paying him, you can't move him to the bullpen.
Right.
You can't be a long man. They're gonna have to find a way to put him out there. I think they're gonna have to be pretty cognizant of his innings and things like that right now until they can figure it out. He just he can't start big games.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's very weird to look at a series and look at the starting matchups and see Aaron Nola's name and be like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Like that's so weird for me.
Yeah.
Because for most of our time with Aaron, it's like, oh, we got our second best pitcher on the mound. Like it's we're just not there anymore. Aaron Nola is what he is, and hopefully he can find a way to pitch around it. I think what we're going to get from Aaron is what we've gotten this year: 2 or 3 really good starts, and then he's going to blow up.
Yeah.
All right. I had something I wanted to say about the offense.
Yeah.
And I didn't say it to you before the show because I just wanted to see your reaction. I think this version of a Phillies offense is the exact version that can win in October. And what I mean by this is, it's funny because sometimes, and this just hit me today. So this is not a thought that I've had until today. When I was looking at some numbers that they're hitting like 260 as a team, which is really good. I think it's the lowest total number of strikeouts they've had as a team since this group has been together, which is awesome. Strikeout rate, not strikeouts, but strikeout rate, which is awesome. Their chase rate is way down. And I think what we've seen is outside of Schwarber, they've sacrificed power for contact. So, while we're leaving a ton of guys on base, part of that is that they're not swinging big. They're just swinging to make contact. Sometimes that ends up being weak contact. But I think as a fan base, we have to choose, are we okay with what we're seeing? Or do we want the team that tries to slug their way to wins? Because you're not going to be able to have both with this team. There's only one guy on this team who can have that approach and do it successfully, and it's Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber can have the big swing approach, or he can, that's not fair. Bryson Stott can do it, but Bryson Stott's not really a power guy.
Yeah.
But he can swing big and hit a big home run without changing too much, I think is what I'm trying to say. Other guys like Trey Turner can't swing both ways. Like if he's going to go up there and swing for it, that's going to be that's the approach. Bryce Harper used to be able to do it. I don't know that Bryce has much power left. I think we might be transitioning out of Bryce Harper power days. I don't know that we're ever going to see 35, 40 home run Bryce Harper again, as much as that will break people's hearts. I think, we might see max 25 home run Bryce Harper. And I think that's okay as long as Bryce is hitting 285, which he's not right now.
Yeah.
But I think, Regs, what I'm saying is I prefer this offense. I know that it can be frustrating at times. I know that it's not as exciting. I know that it ends up leaving a lot of runners on base, and that's annoying. But maybe come postseason, if this is a tool they have in the box, then maybe they can make a deeper run, because this is the thing that's kept them out, is swinging and missing, and they're not doing that nearly as much this year as a team.
Yeah.
So where I'm at right now is I like this style of the offense, and it comes with power sacrifice. So I think we just have to be okay with that.
Yeah, I think generally I tend to agree with you. It just seems like it's still not there, I think, because of literally number 3. Like the third guy in your lineup and number 3. Like Bryce hitting what, 220 something? 232 maybe, something like that.
I don't remember. I'm looking it up. Go ahead.
It's just really jarring, and there's just this void is probably too strong a word, because I have really liked Schwarber being there after Harper. I think that's worked out well, and I think that pitchers are afraid to go around Harper to get to Schwarber. So I think that's worked out well. Bryce just seems lost. He's either swinging at everything that gets thrown, no matter where it is. He's just up there swinging at everything that pitcher lets go of. Or it's, breaking ball for a strike, breaking ball for a strike, and then gets blown away by a fastball. And I know somebody put out an article that he's seen the least amount of pitches in the strike zone of any eligible player in all of baseball. But it's kind of self-inflicted. He's swinging at everything. He's just up there swinging at everything. Like he's got no idea what's coming. And it's a really weird place to be with Bryce, because it's been a little bit now. And, we keep saying, he's Bryce Harper, he'll pull himself out of this. I'm not saying that like he's dead to rights, because I don't think that by any means. But he seems stuck. And I don't know exactly where he's stuck or what's sort of off. It's just that approach works because of everyone else sort of outside of, like you said, everyone else outside of him and Schwarber having that approach, right? If they all start getting him on base, then these guys come up, right? They're the ones that are supposed to be that exclamation point. That guy with the ability to put the ball out of the park or hit it, like go gap to gap, all that stuff. And when it is only Schwarber, it feels like something's missing. It feels like just that last piece of the puzzle hasn't been laid in yet.
So Bryce sitting 236. The thing that I've noticed is he's so tardy on fastballs right now.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Like I for a guy who has been good at fastball hunting, I do think he has seen so many breaking balls and off-speed pitches this year that like he's almost waiting for those, and then like when he's waiting for those, he gets the fastball. When he's thinking fastball, it's that he's just so backward.
Yeah.
And I heard or I read Jim Salisbury tweeted something today. Someone was on WIP. I think it might have been Hamels, but like a bunch of athletes have been talking about Bryce and just how much pressure he's putting on himself. And that, he's the more pressure he puts on himself, the more he struggles. And Bryce just so badly wants to win. Like it's why we love him. And I know the body language showed earlier this year, but like I just don't think it was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be doing this. I think it's just, I want to help my team. And right now I'm not, and I'm frustrated by that. I almost wonder, Regs, and call me crazy, but like Bryce, I think seeing the Eagles win a Super Bowl did something to Bryce.
It might have, yeah.
Not broke him, and he's not mad about it, right? Like he
no.
I just think he wants that so badly. And you know, because we've never seen Bryce struggle like this since he's come here.
Yeah.
You just know. I mean, he has had moments, but it's never looked like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So much of me just wonders, like, he's in the city, he watches another team win a championship, sees the parade, knows how close this team has been, and he knows that he's seen as the face of this,
Mm-hmm.
and so badly wants it. So I don't know. And maybe that's an overreaction, and but obviously I don't know that for sure. But I think we know Bryce's personality enough to know that he sees something like that and he wants that.
Yeah.
And I respect that. But for us to get there, he needs to be relaxed and be his best self, because the more pressure he puts on himself, the less successful he's going to be.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think you're exactly right. I think and let's be honest, it was, that Super Bowl was in part possible because of a lot of guys who haven't been here that long. Bryce made a really big commitment to this city and this baseball team. And we're halfway through his contract, a little over halfway through.
Dude, he's been here since 2019. This is like year 7.
Yeah. So it's like, it's a thing, right? He's a human being. Like, you're going to see that, and I think you're right to characterize it as, I don't think it has anything to do with jealousy other than the fact that, like, that team did it for Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who, like, left Washington. Washington wins a World Series.
Yep.
Like, that pissed him off, because he's got to be the guy that, like, well, they won it when Harper left.
Yeah.
And now he's in Philly and he committed here for a long time. And listen, change the trajectory of this franchise for this, for 2 decades. But there's probably no one who wants to get that ring more than that guy. Like, so it's weird to see it affect him so much. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's had pressure on him since he was 12 years old. So it's odd to see it, like, affecting him for a longer period of time than we're used to. But yeah, maybe that, like, seeing your next door neighbor do it, like, just pushed him, like, he's pushing too hard. Like, maybe it's just too much.
Yeah. I one last thing here, and this is probably a conversation for a different day. We're going to jump into the, we talked about the Eagles. We're going to jump into the schedule. But we do give Bryce a lot of credit for, like, flipping the franchise, right? Like, we talk about that all the time. Like, 2019 was a turning point. I'm at a point where I actually argue harder for Kyle Schwarber being who flipped the franchise.
Yeah.
Bryce got here and we didn't go to the playoffs in 19, 20, or 21. Kyle gets here and we've been there every year since. So I do fight that a little bit. Like, I think Bryce is he's the face, right? We all know that. He's the face of this franchise. And he's the face for different reasons than Kyle is the face. We don't look at Kyle that way. We look at Kyle as, like, the quiet leader in the back. As Andrea likes to call him, backyard barbecue, the guy who's standing at the grill and no one really notices because the host is doing the host things.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I've kind of gone to bat for Kyle as being the guy who's really,
I think I agree with you, but it'd be an interesting conversation to go into, like, but does Kyle Schwarber get here without Bryce Harper doing what he did?
Yeah. It's very fair.
I don't think you're wrong from, like, an on-field perspective. I think in terms of that stuff,
2 different angles.
Yeah.
Bryce kind of flipped the Phillies into a place where everybody wanted to come.
Yes.
And then the right guys came.
Yes.
So yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it, for sure.
Both can be true. Okay. Time to jump across the street to that team who has Bryce feeling some type of way right now. And at least from our vantage point, Bryce, we love you and we want you to have it too. But the schedule release happened for the Eagles. And every year, Regs and I do a little schedule release episode. So we're going to spend the bulk of the rest of our time here on the schedule. So what we typically do is we go through it. I just name it one by one. Then we talk about some things that we see in there, and we go through games that look scary to us, stretches that look scary to us. Um, and we don't pick game by game yet, but we wait and we do like I see this many wins here,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty much how we do this. So I'll go ahead and get this rolling. We might stop here and there and just pause on certain games, and others we'll probably just skim over. But I think the first one's the one that we'll probably pause at. It's been a long time since the Eagles and Dallas opened a season
Yeah.
against one another. No better way to open the year than raising a banner against the
Yeah.
Cowboys, right?
That's
Like
that's the notes on this game. I can't wait to like when they pan in on Dak Prescott's stupid face as we raise our banner. It's gonna be great.
I also think that there's some value in like new coach, a lot of new players on this team. We've seen what that looks like from our side of things. That it takes a while to
Mm-hmm.
get things going. So it's a little advantageous for the Eagles, I think, to have that opportunity. All right, then they go to Kansas City in week 2. It'll be like 10 days before they actually play again, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
But we end up, I think Kansas City comes back from Brazil and has to play us like right away. So we saw what that looked like for us. We were dragging.
Yes, we
Uh,
did. Yes, we
we were
did.
dragging. And that's a 425 game in Kansas City. Obviously, it's exciting to be able to play the team that you just played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there, and certainly an interesting matchup in week 2. Week 3, the Rams come to town, rematch of the NFC divisional game. So the Super Bowl and divisional game have rematches in the first 3 weeks. That's a 1:00 start. So those are your first 3 weeks, and then Regs, this just pisses me off, and I want to pause here. Are we ever gonna play Tampa in Philly? Like, is that ever?
Yeah,
gonna
I don't
happen?
know. It's a good point. Isn't it like 4 years in a row now?
And it's always in September.
Yeah.
It's 1,000,000 degrees there.
Yeah. I don't know why we have to keep going there.
Just mark that down as a loss. They're not winning that game.
Yeah, it's such a stupid place.
They're not winning that game. Like it is just insane to me that they have to go there every
I know.
year. Like
I
it's
know.
just
I know.
it's so annoying. I'm so bothered by it. I apologize for my language, but I'm so annoyed by it. All right, week 5, Denver comes to Philly for another 1:00 game. So they do have 3 straight 1:00 games, which is nice.
Yeah.
Definitely nice to have a stretch of those, and I enjoyed that this year, so I'm happy about having it next year. But then they go to New York for Thursday night football right out of there, and then back-to-back 1:00 games. One at Minnesota. Very odd that they're playing Minnesota at 1:00. It feels like a bigger game than that, but I might be missing something. So 1:00 game in Minnesota, and then 1:00 at home against the Giants. I'm gonna get to this then. I hate this week 6, week 8 Giants thing, and I'll get to why in a little bit.
Yeah. It's really, yeah.
Well, I'll say it right now. It's because they play the Commanders week 16 and week 18.
Right.
Why not flop 2
Right.
of those games? Why are we doing that?
I
It's the
don't.
dumbest-
Yeah, I don't know either. Doesn't make a lot of sense, quite honestly.
It's so dumb. Like they should be flip-flopping those. Bye week comes week 9, so dead in the middle of the season, which is nice.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
a good time. I did not love last year's bye week. I guess it worked out.
Right.
But, I did not love it. And coming out of the bye, they go at Green Bay on Monday night, home against Detroit on Sunday night, at Dallas at 1:00. 3 consecutive weeks there is that's a stretch. And then Friday night football, Black Friday, they host Chicago. I'm excited for a Black Friday game, Regs.
I mean, yeah, there was that one it must have been that same Thanksgiving, right? It went Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There was
Yeah.
a game all 4 days, yeah. Black
Well,
Friday, there's not much to do. You're going to chill out. You're going to watch the Eagles. Should be good.
The only days the Eagles don't play this week are Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
They play every other day of the week.
Yep.
That's just wild. And so then Monday Night Football, they go to LA. Then Vegas comes to Philly week 15 for a 1 o'clock game. At Washington, I believe that's Sunday Night Football. Against Washington on the road, and then at Buffalo, I think I saw that's a 4:25 game,
Yeah,
but I could be
yeah,
wrong.
it is. Yep,
And then Washington is TBD at home in week 18.
yep.
Just a couple of things here. If you consider the Black Friday game a primetime game, they get 6 primetime games, um, which is fine. I mean, it is what it is. I think Dallas and Kansas City both have
Yes, 7,
Kansas City
right?
has 7, Dallas has 6, I think. And the Commanders have 5. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what it is. I could be. I know it's up there.
I think Dallas has more than us,
Do they?
but I think they're at 7. I think.
Okay.
Again, I could be wrong.
Okay. Couple of other notes about this schedule. They're the first Super Bowl champion to not have back-to-back home games.
I didn't even notice that.
They do not play a single back-to-back home game.
That's crazy.
Isn't that wild?
I don't like that.
No, it's stupid. They have 3 West Coast teams come to Philly.
Yep.
All 3 games are 1 o'clock starts, which to West Coast teams is 10 o'clock start.
Yes.
That's an advantage. Their only trip out west is to play the Chargers, and it's a Monday night game.
Yeah.
So that's an advantage for the
yeah, they brought that up on PHLY when they went over the schedule, and I was like, I didn't even think of that. It is an advantage for the Eagles to have those teams coming to us and have them be 1 o'clock games.
Yeah. Here's another little quirk that Jeff Kerr tweeted today. The Eagles will have 8 or more days rest before facing the Chiefs. They'll have 10 days. Before facing the Vikings, 10 days. Before facing the Packers, 15 days. Before facing the Chargers, 10 days. That's the West Coast. And before facing the Bills, 8 days. Those are all road games. They'll basically have like mini buys.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
All of those road games. That's an awesome schedule quirk,
yes.
Honestly. That's a real advantage because that is not something.
And to note, no weird international games.
Thank God this year. Yeah, it's nice to not have to deal with that.
Yes.
They play 4, 5, 6, 7 teams in the top 10 for Super Bowl odds. Heading into the season, so nothing too crazy there, but at least there's something to sort of talk about. As I look at it in totality, yes, the schedule looks very challenging, just on paper, right? But these things are ever evolving and fluid in football because injuries are always.
Yep.
You never know what's going to happen there. You got some teams like Minnesota, who was really good last year, is starting a first-year quarterback this year. So that there's something to consider with that. We don't play the Commanders until week 16 and 18. So what you would consider to be your two of your tougher games because of the way the Commanders played them last year, at least in the regular season, those games might not even matter.
Exactly.
By the time you get to them. One of your other toughest games is at Buffalo. That's week 17. You might not be playing starters at that point.
Yeah.
They might not be playing starters at that point. So that game is a weird, might not matter game. So, as I look, is there a game? Let me ask you this: is there a game on the calendar, on the schedule that you look at and you say, this one's got me jacked up. I don't feel good about this game.
I'm gonna
timing based on place, based on team.
Yeah, it's very hard to say that about the Washington games because they're so late and so much can happen.
And we're gonna eliminate Tampa Bay because that's the obvious.
Yes.
I think we'll both have that as a loss when we do our schedule.
I'm gonna say the Rams. I'm really interested to see,
Okay.
because I think the Rams game, like the national sort of like take was, yes, the you know, the Eagles won the game, but everyone kind of was like, oh well, the Rams are the second best team in the NFC. You know, they
Yeah.
took them down to the wire. They're one of the only teams that did that.
Yeah.
And I think they, the whole, whatever the guy's name, Jared Verse, right, with the whole,
Yeah.
Eagles crap. And look, the Rams are a good team. I don't
They
think you
also
take anything.
they added what's his name? The Devontae Adams.
Yes.
Devontae and Puka. That's
We kind of like smoked them. Like
yeah,
we
at their place we
right.
did.
And so they're coming our way. Everyone's going to hype it up, right, because of how close the snow game was. That's a weird game where, like, a guy like Matt Stafford, who just slings it around everywhere, I think has a little bit of an advantage. And look, the Eagles did what they had to do. But that one just, I'm interested in that one, not so much because we always, there's always a chance you might lose the game. But I'd love to just like have them come to our house and just kick their ass again. And just be like,
Yeah.
oh, you thought you were close to us? You're not. Like, you're just not.
Yeah.
How about you?
I gotta say it's Detroit for me.
Yeah.
I think if the Eagles were playing Detroit earlier in the year, I'd feel better about it. I think Detroit having a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator by week 11, they're settling in a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Getting them early would have made me feel a little bit differently. Like I said about Dallas, like
Mhm.
Dallas they have the new head coach. They've got some new weapons that they're trying to get adjusted with. It'll be Dak's first game in a year. So there are going to be elements to that game that I believe give the Eagles an advantage aside from being at home and raising the banner and all the excitement. And the
Yeah, for
Eagles
sure.
fans haven't been able to open up at home in a couple of years. So there's going to be a lot of hype around that. But the Detroit game early in the year would have made me feel good for all those reasons. Whereas now you've got a team who feels like they belonged on the field with you last year and just, things didn't go their way due to injuries and they're going to be out to prove something. We know that their coach is a grade A classic motivator and he'll have that team ready. He'll have that group ready. Even though it's a home game, it's Sunday night. Like, I don't want to see the Eagles get sort of wrapped up in that chaos. And
Yeah.
that
I'm
does give me some concern.
I'm extremely interested in that game because I might be selling hard on the Lions this year
Yeah.
because of
I
the
don't disagree with
coordinator
that.
stuff. Like,
I
I
don't
think
disagree with that.
we see Jared Goff at his best when he's comfortable.
Mhm.
We haven't seen him like adapt and change quickly and be successful.
Yeah.
Like, the Lions thing wasn't perfect when he first came over.
Yeah.
He got a great offensive coordinator, right? Who was really good and got them comfortable and they had the talent. We're not diminishing the talent on the football team.
Right.
They're
Right.
a very talented team.
Yeah.
I think that coordinator stuff's going to be a big, especially on the offensive side. I think it's going to be a bigger deal than people might allow it to be.
Well, and not even from the just the transition. I think we've seen it. We've seen how it can impact a
Yeah.
team. The Eagles were a Super Bowl contender and started the year 10-0, and then the coordinator thing sort of went sideways and
Yep.
it got
Yeah.
bad real
Yeah.
fast, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm absolutely not counting out the downfall of the Lions. I actually am not counting out the downfall of the NFC North as in totality.
Sure.
Like, I think that division was incredibly overrated
Yeah.
last year in terms of like, oh, the Vikings are so good. Oh, the Packers are so good. Oh, the Lions are so good. Well, they all got beat in the first round of the playoffs, essentially.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm still like on the bottom side of the Packers. Like, I know everybody hyped them up last year to be this like crazy, right? Picking them for the Super Bowl and stuff like that. I still don't buy it. Like,
No,
they still have yet to prove this to anybody.
The Eagles play 3 of those 4 teams, the 3 that were in the playoffs last year. They play them all between weeks 7 and 11, and they
Yeah.
have the bye week 9. So, they're gonna have a chance to make a statement against that division.
Hmm.
So we know they play the NFC North and the AFC West this year.
Yeah.
Um, so those are the games that we're concerned about. What's a game on the schedule that you look at and say this team? Maybe it's the Lions for you because you just kind of said it. Maybe I'm, setting you up for a question you already answered. But what's a team that you look at here where most people are hyping this team up, whereas you're like, I think this is pretty much for me. This is a win. I'll give you mine, and if you
Yeah.
just want to stick with the Lions, go for it. If you have somebody else that you want to talk about, that's fine. For me, it's the Broncos. I look at the Broncos and I am not scared even remotely of Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Like I think what Fangio and this defense is going to do to Bo Nix is going to be laughable. I know Denver's defense is very good. Like I'm not
Yeah.
at all questioning how good that defense is, but that's another game that they get to play at home at 1 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning for them, right? So
Yeah.
to me, like that almost feels like outside of the Giants, feels like a game I feel most confident
Yeah.
in the Eagles winning, even though there's a lot of people that believe the Broncos are, the darlings because they
Hmm.
were playoff last year. They're like the AFC version of the Commanders for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
The team who people kind of fell in love with last year. The quarterback is young, and well, Bo Nix is older, but and so actually so is Jaden Daniels. But new to the league
Yeah.
and took the league by storm and surprised people.
Yep.
And I think both teams are going to take pretty large steps back
Yeah.
this year, and those fan bases are going to come back down to earth a bit.
Yeah. To go, like I said about the Lions, I'll go a little bit different of direction. I'm going to say the Bears. I think the Bears are going to have been getting a lot of hype. Look, they had a decent draft. They got Ben Johnson,
Ben Johnson.
obviously. Everyone's waiting for Caleb Williams to like pop off, right? With how how talented everybody said he was. All that stuff. I think the Eagles are going to wipe the floor with the Chicago Bears.
I like it.
So that's the one for me where outside, I like the Lions, I think is a good choice also because I think they're going to be very hyped up. The Vikings, like, I'm not sure how you can feel confident about that team with JJ McCarthy as the quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, I know who they have at wide receiver. I get it. Justin Jefferson scares the crap out of me every time we have to face him. Yeah. But until that kid can prove he's an NFL quarterback, I'm just not that worried about it. I think the Bears is the one for me.
Okay. And so, as you look at this, are there any stretches that you're like, remember 2 years ago, we knew the stretch that was going to be tough for them, and it ended up proving true where they had to play all those teams in like consecutive weeks. But I look at this, Regs, and I think the schedule, although on paper you look at it and you say, oh, it's a tough team, it's a tough team, it's a tough team, and that's fine right now. I don't see like an unfair stretch of schedule.
Yeah.
There's nothing that really it throws me to a point where I'm like, man, I can see I think the first 4 games are the 4 games where I can see them scuffling a little bit. I think I saw someone had them at like 1-3 coming out of that. I think 2-2 is very doable here. If not 3-1, like they should win that Dallas game, right? Like
Yeah.
I still think they're better than Kansas City. Like I know Pat Mahomes is Pat Mahomes, but that team, what they did to him in the Super Bowl, like this Kansas City team hasn't changed that much.
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying? Like they haven't changed that much. I know they should be getting Rice back. I think that he's healing up, so he should be back. And yet you still got to deal with Pat Mahomes. But I do believe that they can win that game. Will they? I don't know, but they can.
Yeah,
they can beat the Rams. We've seen them beat the Rams. Like they can absolutely beat the Rams. Tampa Bay is the game that
especially early in the season. The Rams are usually not good early in the season.
Yeah. And until McVay shows that he can beat Sirianni, like what are we doing? Tampa Bay is the only game that like in those first 4 that I'm like, they're gonna lose.
Yeah, sure. I mean, mine's very dependent on situation, but I think if the last couple of weeks of the season matter, Washington is like a stretch for me because we just play the Commanders so weird. And I
Yeah.
don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year. Like, I'll just get that out there now.
Oh, dude, I've been saying it.
But
Mark's
for whatever reason, it's like we talked about, like the Cardinals are with the Phillies right now. We just like allowed that team to hang around when they shouldn't in these games. And if going to the Bills matters for both teams, like Josh Allen is still a scary dude to have to
and
beat
well,
in
I don't think
Buffalo.
I don't think they've lost a game in Buffalo.
Well, that's what I mean, right? To have to go to Buffalo in December, like it's
Yeah.
tough. It's tough.
I don't even want any of our dudes playing.
Well, that's what I mean. That's again, but that's obviously very dependent on it mattering. But I think I'm with you with the rest of the stretches. Like, I think the reason that gauntlet was also very hard is most of those games were road games, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, well, it was like Kansas City on the road. Buffalo came to us. We had to go to Dallas during that time. We had to go to Seattle
Right.
during that stretch.
Yeah.
We played in New York. That's when AJ hurt his
Yep.
knee. There was just like it was just a weird
Yeah.
run of games. San Francisco was at home, but it was the teams they were playing, and I don't see that here.
Yeah.
And
No, I'm with you there.
I think like the closest it gets for me is Green Bay, Detroit, Dallas.
That's the
Like
exact one I was looking at also. And only because of the Dallas game being away.
Yeah,
Like,
the
that's
first Dallas game doesn't bother me.
yes. Yep.
That's the one that's closest for me. You know, Chicago, depending on what they get. And again, we're saying this now. So much can change by week 10 of the NFL football season. You know, you're coming out of the bye. Who knows who you have? Who knows who they have?
Mm-hmm.
Like we said earlier, and you just mentioned, Washington, Buffalo, Washington could mean everything. It could mean nothing. It's really weird how they
Yeah.
place those games this year. So, all right, I think we've dug into this as much as you can from every different direction. We've talked about the alternating home away stuff. We've talked about the times and how they actually work out for the Eagles this year, and the days off between games, and how that all lands on away games. Like, there's some advantageous stuff to this schedule.
Yeah.
We've talked about the games that kind of scare us at face value, and the games that teams that seem to be a little more overrated, that don't scare us as much. And so I think the appropriate way to sort of end this is, when you look at this, how many wins do you see in this 17 game season? Like, what's your total? I think their season total, is it 10 and a half? Is it 11 and a half? I can't remember.
I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it.
I can look it up. I want to say it was like 11 and a half. Eagles win total 2025, 2026. 11 and a half.
Yeah. I'm going to say 12 or 13.
Okay. Yeah. I have 12 is my realistic number. I think 13 is pie in the sky for me. I think I know it's only one game separating it, but I do think, my guess is that they lose that away game in Dallas the week before Thanksgiving. It just, unless something goes terribly wrong for Dallas, it just feels like they're not going to sweep them this year. At least I say that now. When I do my bold predictions, I always pick 6-0 against the NFC East. But I can see Dallas as a loss. I think Tampa's a loss. I think one of Kansas City and LA is probably a loss. That's 3. Buffalo's probably a loss. And I think one of those Washington games is probably a loss, just based on the timing of it, especially week 18 if they don't need it.
Yeah.
Here's my other. This isn't even Eagles oriented. I actually think Dallas finishes ahead of Washington this year.
Yeah, I'm not buying the hype for like a second year until, like, they relied on a lot of veterans, like, playing really well to sort of stabilize that team. And look, Jaden Daniels is fantastic. I don't think we're not taking anything away from that guy.
We'd be stupid.
But like, McLaurin had a career year, like all this stuff, highest percentage, like fourth
comes down to him, right?
Fourth down conversions, right? Like all this kind of stuff. Like I just don't. I'm not buying it all.
Let me just quickly run through their schedule. I just, because I think this is I think this is just something to do. So they open with New York. they'll probably win that
Yes.
game. Right. Although it would be fun if like a Russell Wilson led Giants
It would be
team
hilarious. Yes, it would.
beat the Commanders to open the season.
It would be.
They go to Green Bay week 2. I'm calling that a loss. They host Vegas week 3. We'll call that a win. So let's say 2-1. They go to Atlanta. Playing in Atlanta is not easy. I call that a loss. They go out to LA. I see them losing to LA. That's 2-3. They play the Bears. They almost lost to the Bears last year.
Mhm.
I'm going to give them a win just because I feel like it's at home. I'll give them the win. 3-3. They go to Dallas. They're going to lose. 3-4. They go to Kansas City. They're going to lose. 3-5. Seattle comes in. Seattle's going to be sneaky good this year. I'm telling you, I think they win the West. But I'll give them a win because it's at home. 4-5. Detroit comes in. Detroit ain't going to lose after what happened last year. 4-6. They go to Miami. I don't know because I just don't know with Miami because of the Tua thing, right?
Right. Just
like,
so dependent on that. Yeah.
Right. But so we'll say 5-5 just because. Denver. I don't like Denver that much, so I'll say 6-5. They go to Minnesota. Let's say 6-6. Tough place to play. JJ's going to be well within then, so 6-6. Then they go to New York. We'll say they win 7-6. They play us. That's their home game, but we usually beat them there.
Yeah,
and
right.
lose at home.
Right.
So we'll say 7-7. Then they play Dallas. Let's say 8-7. Maybe at best 9-7. Or I think that's best case.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think because I gave games that I wasn't certain of. I think they could easily lose the Seattle game. I think they could easily lose. What was the other home game? Or I gave them. I had them win the Dolphins game.
Yeah.
That's an international game too. I had them win that. I had them beat Denver. We don't know if they're going to beat Denver. So I agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be this juggernaut of a team again. I think they won a lot of one possession games last year, and those are not always that tends to even itself out over time. And sometimes success doesn't breed success as consistently as teams want it to. What the Eagles and the Chiefs have done is not easy to do. It's not easy to replicate.
For sure.
So, all right, man. Anything else for the good of the cause?
No, that was fun. That was good.
It was a good one. We had a good time. All right, everybody. Well, we will be back on Thursday of next week. I will be home. Thank gosh. I will be home. We will give you an update of our golf tournament. I think I'm going to have to do TikTok from the course, right?
There you go. I like that idea.
We're going to do a TikTok of the two of us live and in person. Couple of swings on the tee. And,
I love it.
that kind of a thing. I'll be at both Phillies games Friday and Saturday. Of course, I'll miss skiing, so I'll be there Sunday. We're both missing.
I know we are.
We're both missing.
Our prediction came true that we'll be listening on our phones in the golf cart.
Yeah. I'll have my speaker all charged up. We'll make sure we're listening to it. But until then, make sure you click subscribe here on the YouTube channel. Go to wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe, rate, follow, do all this stuff. Go on to social media at the Bike Drop 5 at Big Regz with a Z on Twitter, at the Fixated fan page on Facebook, at the Fixated Pod. On TikTok at the Fixated Podcast on Instagram. click the merchandise link in the show description below. We will again be back on Thursday. Until then, be kind to yourselves, be kind to one another. Make sure you tell someone that you love them, and have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on Thursday. Until then, Phils, I'd like a sweep this weekend.
There you go. And just for the schedule, go Birds.
Oh my God! Deep to right field, way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.